One of the indicators is that of how much people are paying by the way of taxes. The net direct tax collection is up 18% year on year.
Actually,
in the first half of
if you look at the first half, the numbers that I was reading, Shweta, we are up almost about 22%, and in
but
this
that would
the
be gross.
larger across. So direct tax 22%, but this comes again on the back of individual direct income tax collections growing 33%, whereas corporate tax, advanced taxes growing about 11 to 12%. So overall averaging out to about 22% is a number that I had read. And of course, this comes, I think, primarily on account of stricter compliance. It comes primarily on account of individuals and organizations seeing how the GST network has become so active, how the enforcement directorate has become so active, and how income tax authorities have become so vigilant that anytime you try to evade tax, a notice is slapped on you. And every time you are unable to service that notice, the penalties are slapped on you. So with this whole digitization process, which started in 2010, 2011, we've seen the rate of compliance only increase year on year. I think this data also reaffirms the fact that there are more number of people being added to the working population. EPFO data that we've seen adding over 5 crore people in the last 4 years. Many of them would be taxpayers. A large chunk may be under the tax net bracket, but many of them would be taxpayers. And overall, we've seen this whole process of compliance has improved, and even the cycle of refund has been shortened drastically. So of this 9.5 lakh crore rupees that we've collected in the first 6 months, this is net after the refunds of about 1.5 lakh crores which have been paid back to advanced taxpayers. So out of the gross 11 lakh crores which have been collected, 1.5 lakh crores have already been returned to taxpayers as well.
Right.
And the CBDT is suggesting that up to 5,000 rupees of tax refunds, no questions asked, you're going to get it immediately. Anything beyond 5,000 rupees eligible for any taxpayer will perhaps take a little longer because you'll want to do your checks and balances.
All right. And as far as, corporate tax and net personal income tax is concerned, I mean, look at the disparity, almost 10% to 15%. What are you making of that number? Does that stand out for you? More corporates paying less tax, or more corporates paying tax but not as much as
you're right,
what
Shweta,
was anticipated?
I think India is at a level right now, and that's a great story that our colleague Amit Ranjan had done, and maybe our viewers should look it up at on our app News9 Plus. But I think what we are seeing is that corporate tax and income tax, personal individual income tax right now are contributing equally to India's overall revenue basket, which is at about 15% each, which means all large and small and medium companies pay as much tax in absolute numbers to Government of India as all individuals working in those companies or working in the government sector or working elsewhere. So, and the corporate tax rate is lower at about 25%. Versus the highest slab of income tax at about 37%, including the super rich tax. So this dichotomy exists, but I think the argument in favor of that dichotomy is that if you don't incentivize corporates to earn more, how are they going to employ more people? And hence it makes sense to tax them lesser in absolute percentage terms than individuals, and individuals being a much larger number than the number of companies that pay taxes. This difference does not technically stand out for me. What I'm happy about is that compliance is greater for individuals at about 33% as compared to corporates, which in any case had become compliant over the course of
So there
time.
is increased compliance
on account of individuals.
All right.